What's up, Woodworking Nation, and welcome to Armor God Woodworks. Today we got this piece behind us right here, and we're going to spray some clear on it. But first I wanted to answer a couple of questions that I got on another video that I did about our Fuji Q4 Platinum spray gun and how to clean it up, how to properly clean the gun. So there's a lot of different ways that you can clean the gun, and it all depends on what technique that you're most comfortable with. And it also depends on what you're spraying out of the gun. So if you're spraying a water-based material, you want to clean up with water. If you're spraying an oil-based material, you want to clean up with mineral spirits or paint thinner. And if you're doing a lacquer-based product, you want to clean up with lacquer thinner. So if you try to clean up a water-based product with a petroleum-based product, you're going to end up with a mess kind of like bazooka bubblegum, and it's going to ruin like everything that you've got. So you definitely don't want that to happen. So you want to just double check, make sure what you're spraying and what you need to clean up with. There'll be instructions on the back of the bucket if you're not 100% sure. And so just double check that, because you don't want to ruin your equipment. And one thing that I can't stress enough is whenever you get finished painting a project and you're done for the day and you know you're fixing to go home, clean the paint out of the gun. Make sure you clean the gun thoroughly, all the parts. You don't have to take the gun completely apart, but all the moving parts that you're going to use, your trigger, your needle, your springs, your high flow, your volume adjusters and all that stuff, you want to make sure that you take that part off of the top assembly of the gun, get all that cleaned up, and put it back in the cup to use another time. Now, whenever I get through spraying and I've cleaned everything up and I'm pretty sure it's spotless, I'll put some more solvent back in the cup and put the parts that I take off the gun, I'll put them down in that cup, and that way they stay lubricated more than anything. But if there's any residual film or any kind of residual material left on that, that solvent will continue to eat it off of there, and so whenever you take it out of the gun the next time, it's perfectly clean. So you want to make sure that you put that solvent in there. Don't ever leave water in it overnight. If you're spraying a water-based material, and you get done cleaning it all out with your water and you spray water through the gun and everything, you want to make sure you dry your cup out very well and put some mineral spirits in it or lacquer thinner and spray it out of the gun, and then put, you don't need but about that much in the bottom of that cup to put all your moving parts in, and make sure they stay there until the next time you use it. So I had a couple questions about that particular video, how we clean and what we clean with, and how we figured out, like our viscosity and how we mix our paint and all that stuff. Does it come pre-mixed? How do we do it? So Lincoln Woodworks, I'm doing this video just for you, and I hope that it helps you, and I hope that it helps everybody else that's watching it. So anytime you buy a gun, or what I've experienced, I've had Erlex guns, and now we're on the Fuji guns. They always send this little viscosity funnel. So what you do is you put your material in the top, and if it runs out like water, your viscosity is good. And so that's what this is for. It's not really supposed to hold anything. You put it in the edge of your cup, pour some paint down in there. If it flows out of there a constant stream, then you're pretty good. If it's chunking out of there, you need to thin it down. And you can also tell if it's too thin. You can get it too thin, and if you do that, it's way worse than it being too thick, because you can't thicken the paint as easily as you can thin it. It takes a good bit of paint to put back unthinned paint in there to be able to thicken it back up to where you could use it. And one thing that besides viscosity and all that kind of stuff, one thing I can't stress enough is to make sure that you strain your paint. Nothing will ruin your gun faster than unstrained paint. Brand new paint cans, especially the 5-gallon ones, they can have little trash particles in them. If the color's been mixed off-site, which all of our paint is mixed off-site, you can get trash in there, and you want to make sure that you're cleaning as much as possible, and when your paint comes out of there, it's going to be pretty well spotless, and it's not going to have any trash in it. So what do we use for that? Well, we bought these little paper filters, and they're made by autobodynation.com, or autobodynow.com, excuse me. And we get them off Amazon. You buy 500 of them for like 25 or 30 bucks. So they're very inexpensive. They're made out of paper. They got a screen in the bottom of them, so it filters it out, and it's like a really fine, I can't remember what the microns is. It might be like 90 microns or something like that. but it's a very fine screen filter that's in these things. So this will catch any kind of trash that could ruin your project that you got going on. Another thing is you want to make sure you dust your project as good as you can. We have an air nozzle in here that's hooked to our air compressor, and we just blow the things off. And then, if it's got anything on it, it'll sand out before our next coat, and then we wipe it down very good before we put our second coat on there, just to make sure that, it's going to be pretty well flawless whenever it comes out of here. You want it to be nice and slick and pretty and smooth. So as far that answers, like, as far as cleaning, how we do it. And the other question was, what's the ratio that we mix? And a lot of times it's like a 1-to-1. So if I got a 5-gallon bucket of just say it's primer, because primers usually comes in, it's a lot thicker than our lacquer paint, because lacquer is thinned down pretty well whenever we get it. If we're spraying a primer, we spray a vinyl-based primer, so it's really thick whenever we get it. Our gun will spray it, but it'll chunk it and it'll look like orange peel, and that's definitely not what you want. If your paint is orange peeling, that means the paint is too thick. You can check that pretty quick. If you, like, the first time you shoot paint out of the gun, if it looks like it's orange peeling, like it'll look like it's got like leather or whatever, your paint's too thick, no doubt. I had a buddy of mine come in about 3 weeks ago, and he was having a problem with his gun. He shoots the same thing I've got. He had never cleaned it. He didn't know that it would come apart and all that stuff. And so we took it in here, broke it down for him, showed him how to clean it, and went ahead and cleaned it for him, and checked the viscosity of his paint and everything. We got it thinned down, and he hadn't had any issues since then. So if you're having issues with your paint, it's not the spray gun or your spray equipment. It's more than likely your paint's too thick, or you hadn't set the paint gun just right, because you have a flow thing on, like a flow needle on there, where it'll adjust how much volume of paint's coming out. So you need to make sure that your volume isn't higher than what you can spray. If you're a slow sprayer and you spray like your speed isn't very fast, turn that gun way down. If you're really quick with it, you can turn that gun up and have a blast with it. But there's a perfect medium in between too slow and too fast, and you always want to make sure it's like Goldilocks. You want to make sure you're in that zone where it's just right. And if you're getting runs, turn your gun down. If you're not getting enough coverage, turn it up just a little bit. A little bit goes a long way. So just remember that. Don't go in there and do like a full turn back and think that it's going to be good. No, just ease it off a little bit and get you a test piece. Man, I got spray all over these walls in here where I'll spray it on there and make sure it's not going to run. And that's typically how we check something, because I don't want to find out on a piece that I'm building that my viscosity was wrong, or that I was too heavy or too light with my spray. It'll ruin your piece. You got to go back and sand it all out, and it just makes a mess. So anyways, this piece behind me is a bookcase, and it's getting shipped out at the end of the week. It's going way up north, and so it's going to be awesome, and I hope the people love it. It was a really fun project to do. We did a prairie style grid on the end panels, and then the inside we stained with I think it was Varthane Kona. It's almost black, real pretty. It'll keep it nice and dark back in there, and so whenever we put our shelves on there, our shelves are the same color. I think this is ash. We're not 100% sure what species of wood this is, but I'm pretty sure it's ash. And so our bookshelves are the same color. It's just natural. And we got a little bit of an accent piece right here. We added in some Choctaw Viga just to give it, just a little bit of that AOG signature. Just, try to break away from the monotony of all these square joints and everything looks the same, and nobody likes that. Everybody wants something to be completely custom. This one is completely custom. So it's a beautiful piece, and we're going to spray some clear on it. But when you're spraying, make sure you got one of these filters, and make sure that you check your viscosity. Once you know exactly what it's supposed to look like, you won't have to use this thing very much. I've never used it. If my paint's too thick in my cup, I'll put some lacquer thinner in there, stir it around. If you get any resistance on your stir stick whatsoever, you know that it's too thick. It should be almost exactly like the consistency of water. So get you a cup of water, stir it up, and that's exactly how your paint should be whenever you stir it up. So let's get the fan cranked on, let's get these exhaust fumes out of here, and let's spray some clear on this awesome bookshelf. All right, man. So that's pretty much all there is to it. That was a clear 30 sheen that we sprayed on there. But this video is really more about viscosity and, you know, making sure that you got your paint and your, well, this clear, it comes in, you know, we have to add just a little bit of lacquer thinner to it, so it's not a whole lot. That's not even like a 1-to-1 ratio. We buy our clear, like, just say if we got a gallon bucket, I'll pour about a quart of it out and put a pint and a half of lacquer thinner back in there to gives me enough room to shake it up, stir it, and everything. So, you know, that's really what that ratio is. So, but if you've got like a 5-gallon bucket of primer, that's a 1-to-1. We'll put like 2 gallons of paint thinner in there for 2.5 gallons of paint. So, or lacquer thinner, excuse me. So, anyways, Lincoln Woodworks. I hope that helps you out. If anybody else has any questions, leave them in the comments below. Don't forget to like and subscribe to Armor God Woodworks. And we'll catch you on the next one, man. Y'all have a blessed day.